how psychotic of a person Jules is for eating cold soup. That's disgusting. That is so gross.
That's what you hang on to here?
Yes. Welcome to Shelf Indulgence, where stories come alive in conversation. I'm Remy, your host and first-time reader, turning the pages alongside each guest as they revisit a book that has left its mark on them. Together, we linger over passages, chase down themes, and wander through the margins of a story worth revisiting. Whether you're turning the pages for the first time with me or revisiting a favorite alongside my guest, I'm glad you've joined us on this journey. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Shelf Indulgence. We are diving into part 3, Casting Off of Wool by Hugh Howey with Michael. Welcome back, Michael. How we doing?
Doing great. Also, I highlighted where they said casting off. Another title drop.
As did I. And I wanted to, before we really dive in, this chapter, or this part rather, covers a lot. And I wanted to just look at casting off as a part title. So many layers to that title. It's wild. As
there are. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Like, I thought it was brilliant. I'll bring it up later when we get to it, but I didn't realize that the casters is what the leaders of the shadow were called. What a brilliant title. You've got shadows and then you've got casters.
I didn't catch that.
I love that. That is so cool.
That is great. Yeah. Absolutely adds another level that I hadn't even noticed.
I just love it. Anyway, diving right in to chapter 18, right out the gate, we've got one page of a whole lot of what the fuck. I mean, we dive into this thing and Juliet is in a suit. She's got a helmet. What the hell?
She's about to go clean. Yep.
Yeah, my note here is, what the fuck, Howey? What are we doing?
Like we've noticed in the first two parts, you've got your main character and then they die. Now we've got our main character of Juliet for this section, and we know right away she's going out to clean. Like it sets it all up beautifully. Like every section seems to have that, don't get too attached to your main character.
Yeah, freaking George R. Martin over here.
Right? It's better comparison than I thought it was before we started reading. Like when we mentioned that at the beginning after part 1, like I was like, it's not as bad. But I actually thought about that this time as I was reading. I'm like, oh shit. It is just as bad. It doesn't feel that way.
So I in this part and this page, I wrote down, okay, we got one of two things going on here. Number one, we're either introduced to a new character that will carry us through the next part, which is exactly what happened last time and the time prior. Or number two, my theory is correct and Jules is a badass and she figures something vital out, which, spoilers, of course, that's what this is. To the end of the part, that's the case. And I love Jules, man. She is such a good character. Like I was really sold on Jahns, but Jules took her over as my favorite character very quickly.
Absolutely.
Fantastic character.
Really built her up so well in this section.
Yeah, no kidding. So jumping into chapter 19, we do a time jump because obviously it's just that single page that just gets us this whole and then we go back to quote unquote reality. I love that she's taking over the job. This is 3 days in. She does not care at all about the view. She's mechanical through and through. She's just doesn't understand why people care. She's saying there's no material outside. Why would I care? There's nothing useful out there. Who gives a shit, right?
And then the line, the only sense she could make of their obsession was the open space itself, a feature of the landscape that frankly terrified her. Another drop for agoraphobia. Yeah.
And I can't imagine it wouldn't be prevalent here. On the second page there, she says that she would just delve down below and never leave. My note here was like, you want Morlocks? That's how you get Morlocks.
How you get more what?
Morlocks.
Morlocks.
Morlocks. Oh, you've never read Time Machine?
I have, but I didn't catch the connection right away. Morlocks, yes, where the humans are split, and you've got the evolved up top, and then the monstrous whatever versions down below. Yeah, the Morlocks, exactly. I see.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that feels, obviously that's not directly the same path, but you know what? you step back a few 100,000 years, and this could easily fit into that universe.
I can see
if
that. Yeah.
Indeed there are people living on the surface.
Mm-hmm.
You've got these undersurface dwellers and potentially surface dwellers, and it's just kind of wild.
Yeah.
That was a joke, but the more you think on it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously it's a joke about the evolution, but it's still true with what we were talking about earlier with the culture differences about how you've got such a huge divide because the silo's so deep. As we learn, Juliet hit 10,000 feet deep. So now we know how deep this goes. Granted, that's in the mines and that's not the silo itself, but still we have an idea.
Right. Yes, that's a great little detail to notice.
Yeah, I noticed that and highlighted it, of course. But yeah, with such a vast distance between the two cultures, as it were, things develop completely different. And as we learn, of course, throughout the book and very strongly in this section, mechanical is its own family, its own group. And I mean, I don't want to spoil too much, but I love the line at the end or close to the end when she's thinking about like her own little army.
Oh, I absolutely circled that. I'm like, foreshadowing, maybe.
Yeah, right. Very likely. Or if not foreshadowing, at least, a help of us as an audience to recognize what happened during the original revolution or I forget what they called it, riot, revolution, uprising, the original uprising, like a little hint to us understanding what probably like caused that, how that came about.
Yeah.
And I liked that.
I love it. But then we're back on Marnes, and God, it's so tragic. that poor man. I mean, of course, Jahns is the most recent wound, but dude, like, how long has it been since Holston, his daily work partner, died? It's like, fuck, man, this guy is going through it.
Yeah.
And I love the line. It's on page 138 for me. It says, the view of the outside world that loomed before her, however sad, cast a far less depressing shadow than Marnes. It's like, he would be a walking just pile of sad. It's just this broken soul. So she decides to work in the jail cell instead of across the desk from this, because the view screen is so much more or less depressing, which is sad because she's looking at a dozen dead bodies. I mean, realistically,
right?
Like horrible. But I also wanted to point out there's we're talking about a poisonous batch of amateur tub gin. I just wanted to point that out because I thought like the run of the mill bullshit she's going to have to deal with, stuff like that. That's hilarious.
I highlighted that as well because I'm like, hey, that means they're growing juniper.
Yeah, right. Like they've got to have some sort of material to make that.
I had to look it up. I stopped reading and asked Google because I thought it was juniper, but I wasn't 100% sure. So I asked Google, I'm like, what's gin made with? And it's like, it's fermented plant matter with, flavored with juniper. And I'm like, that means they're growing juniper.
Right. So why would you grow juniper if for nothing else? Is there another use for juniper? I wonder.
I don't know what juniper is.
Maybe that's why it was poisonous.
I think it was the flower of juniper. I don't know. Maybe if you do it wrong, like certain fishes, it can be poisonous. I have no idea. I have a feeling it's just that they didn't know what the fuck they were doing.
I'm sure.
And made something that made people start throwing up. It's probably nothing more than that.
Yeah.
Amateur shower gin. So funny.
It cracks me up. So the next page we actually find out a little bit about Jules, which is where that she had a lover down in mechanical. And that was what brought Holston and Marnes down.
Lover.
Yes. That comes up as well. So very interesting. The fact that number one, she had a lover. Number two, that lover was killed. We find out later his name is George, I believe. And number three, we're going to jump way ahead to the end of this section, but we find out that Bernard is the one that killed him. And number four, we find out that it's a secret. So what the hell is that? I know it goes into the pact, making it so that people have to. What?
Do we find out Bernard killed him? I mean, we assume that Bernard killed everybody at this point, but I don't remember it being explicit. In fact,
there's a line.
This section. Okay, well, in this chapter that we're in right now, really quick before we get to the line that you're talking about, they mention how she assumed it was murder, but then looking at all the clues, she realized it was just a series of circumstances that led to his death.
Right.
So what did we see later that clarified it was a murder by Bernard.
Bernard had only been to mechanical once, and that was to kill a man.
Oh, to kill a man.
Yeah.
I read that, and I thought that was probably the case as well. But my brain just kind of went over it and said, oh, maybe it was somebody else that he killed. Maybe he's just like, he's killed lots of people and that was just another one. But no, I think you're probably right. I think you're right. Yeah. That was probably her secret lover.
Yeah, I feel pretty convinced. And that makes me think, okay, so what was George getting into that Bernard didn't like? And we know that
we knew his name? I missed that completely too.
Yeah, we find out his name is George. And I believe that's when she's talking to Lukas, which we'll meet in a little bit as well. So we know that IT provides subpar materials, right? So it's if a murder looks like a series of happenstances in mechanical, probably going to be machine failure, right?
Probably something like that. Yeah.
That all kind of adds up. It's
I don't think we learn how he dies, right? We just know that he was likely murdered, and as we confirmed, probably murdered.
Yeah, the layers of onion are still peeling back, but there's a lot of evidence pointing at Bernard. Well, nothing. It's all circumstantial, of course, but this isn't a damn courtroom, and it's Bernard's fault.
I mean, we as an audience know because we get Bernard's perspective at the end of the part, but
there's no way for anyone else to know
Jules
at this point.
Defending herself and stuff like that. Yeah.
Of course.
Going back a little bit to the forbidden love thing, I thought it was really interesting that the love was forbidden. Like I have a note here and I'm like, why?
Right?
Why is it forbidden? Like, what about that? Like, I didn't understand that because even like when she talked about it with Lukas later, like they were both seeming to be on the same page. You should be able to love whomever you want, but Lukas seemed to like buy into the whole ask for permission thing.
Right.
But I still don't understand why that would be forbidden. It's like they already have the lottery and the implanted birth control. So like, why isn't that enough?
Right. I had the exact same trail of thoughts. Like, doesn't make any sense. But again, this is all about control. Everything in the silo is about control. And the control is all sourcing from IT.
And as we were suspecting, I mean, as I knew, but as you were suspecting, and I was like,
go on.
IT is absolutely controlling everything, all aspects of everybody's lives. And for what purpose? We still don't know.
Well, I mean, let's just say
guesses.
I was right is the
so
big
I highlighted
that.
I highlighted that. Wait, let me find it. I know it's in a future chapter. It's in my chapter 11, your chapter 28. Okay. And this is Jules thinking the silo made less sense. It hadn't been created by God. It was probably designed by IT. And my note there is just Remy with an exclamation point.
Yeah. So, and then at the very end of the section, he actually reaches out to another silo, which is wild.
We learn there are more than one silo and that they are silo 18.
Yep.
And for anybody who decided to give themselves a little bit of spoilers and look at the names of the future sections, we have as a kind of prologue.
Oh, I didn't do that. So I've been very careful not to do that.
Well, it's not a spoiler anymore because we now know there are other silos.
Glad I didn't then.
So for anybody who looked at the section titles, up ahead is our prologue. At the end of the book, we have Meanwhile in Silo 17. So if you had read ahead, you would have known there are other silos. But yes.
That's a third silo that we'll know about. Okay, cool. Man, now you're blowing my mind in real time. This is my mind is already blown through all this stuff.
I love it.
Oh, that's so good. Okay, cool. Fun. Oh, dude, this book is so good.
I mean, talking about titles, though, the next section, which we'll obviously get to when we finish up with this, I love the title already. It's The Unraveling. Like, just that alone tells us so much we need to know about what's coming.
Yeah, and there are a number of moments in this chapter where it's starting to unravel. It was beginning to unravel, it unraveling. And there are so many little mentions of like the next chapter. I'm like, ooh, it's starting. It's so cool. I'm so into this book. What a good choice.
like I said at the top of this, like I forgot how fast this all happens. Like I said, the last experience I had with Wool was the show. So like my memories of reading this book, X number of years ago were slightly tainted by having seen the show more recently. So
I'd imagine.
Really enjoying go back and rereading. But one of the things I was thinking about today while I was reading before, we jumped on this was I really enjoyed the show. but it had been a while since I had read the book. And now going back and rereading, I'm realizing the show pales in comparison to the book. Like,
as is usual,
thinking about the way they I mean, it's not really too unusual that, you know, the show or movie isn't as good as the book, right? But I enjoyed the show, so I definitely don't want to like discourage people from watching it.
Sure.
It's good, and I highly recommend it. I recommend you watch it, especially after we're done reading this.
Oh, I have every intention.
Like, they structure things differently, so you don't get like that, like, you know, oh, Jules is in a suit and about to go clean. Let's go find out why. It's just, you get all of the build up, right? You get the slow build to that, and so nothing happens as fast as what was happening here. It's just like a lot slower. And so, like, I don't want to spoil the show either for like why she goes out to clean, but it's different. It's a different reasoning.
No kidding.
Yeah, like they changed a lot of things. Like Lukas is still there. But I think he's a bit older based on the actor. Like, again, they don't really say the character's ages in the show. I mean, we learn that she is 36.
34.
Yep, I know. Sorry. No, 36. I highlighted it.
Nope, 34, because it's the same level as IT.
Oh, that's interesting.
Isn't it?
That's really interesting. Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm positive.
I know. I highlighted it. Okay. You're probably 100% right. And I just, like, in my mental math was doing it wrong. Because I did my math that she was 11 years older than Lukas, but 34 would actually make a little bit more sense. Only 9 years. It's a lot closer. Feels less weird.
Right.
I don't know why 9 feels less weird.
Yeah, 34.
No, she
34.
said 36. Nope. Right here. Page 153 for me. 36, she said.
Hang on.
Did they edit the book? Did it get changed?
That's what I'm wondering. Like, what a strange...
Okay, mine says, I'm going to read it literally out of the book for me. Lukas laughed at his youthful laugh. No, I mean, how old are you? Or is that impolite? She felt a wave of relief. She thought he'd been asking about her being with anyone. Sorry, I read that weird, but 36, she said, and I'm told it's impolite to ask, but I've never been one for rules.
34, she said, and I'm told it's impolite to ask, but I've never been one for rules.
Okay, so I was thinking you were going to have to cut out this little debate about her age, but this is interesting that the book is different from my Kindle version and your print version.
What does a 2-year difference make? That's
and
weird.
Why would they change it?
I know.
What the hell? Hugh, you got some explaining to do here. Why
the plot thickens.
Does the different releases have different ages? What's going on here? What's this conspiracy going on here? Are you part of IT,
that's
Hugh?
So funny. Yeah. Oh, interesting. Okay. So that
has nothing to do with the story, but that is very fascinating.
Maybe someone thought that 11 years was too much and 9 was okay. I don't know.
Maybe.
Weird.
Very. Very.
But jumping back.
Anyway.
Jumping back to where we got off on our little tangent there. I thought it was really interesting. I'm going back to the first chapter of this section where she's talking about a true cleaning. And again, we get to that theme where every part of the silo thinks that they're the most important. And I wanted to underline that because mechanical, they do their true cleaning to keep the silo running. Right. Whereas IT thinks that it's crazy to me that everyone is like, I'm the one keeping this silo running. And
we get a little bit more of that with Bernard later in the section where he is like, brushing off their silliness with the generator, like that, like the generator is not that big of a deal. Like even Bernard, somebody who we know has a lot more information about what's going on, who we now knows there's more than one silo, more than 2 silos, because he's silo 18, right? So there's at least 18 silos. At least there were. Who knows if they're all still around? Yeah. So at least 18 silos, and he's brushing off the generator like it's no big deal. Like, I don't understand that disconnect there, even though, like, especially since he knows, like, how everything's run, he should understand how important that is.
Well, you would think. Yeah. But he feels like there's a big blind spot for him, which
maybe
will likely be used to our benefit or Jules's benefit. Right.
Yeah.
Having a blind spot for the what does he call them? I can't remember what he calls them specifically, but like the underbelly of the silo is basically what he refers to them as. And he doesn't see their true potential, I think, which is a huge foreshadowing that there's going to be an uprising. And as you mentioned, she mentioned something about her army and like, there's some trouble that's going to be stewing in mechanical. And I love it. But I wanted to point out before we moved on too far, the note that Jahns left at the for Holston being remembered. Just the fact that she wants him to be remembered for everything he contributed to the silo, not just for being another cleaner. And I love that she's gone, but she's still giving us these beautiful little moments. I loved her so much as a character, and it keeps on. It's much like Holston and Allison and now Marnes and Jahns, how he's really good at maintaining the integrity of the characters that are gone and giving us these little breadcrumbs that give us that real true value of that character.
Speaking of the dead talking to her or talking to us and imparting their wisdom, I love that he does that again later on with the note from, well, should we say yet or move on and get to it? I forgot his name. Otherwise, I would have just said it.
Scotty.
Scotty. Yes. Like the note from Scotty speaking to her after he's dead. Spoilers. So many people.
Everyone, man.
So many deaths. It just keeps going.
Yeah, this is George R. Martin level of murder. Yeah. It's wild. I wanted to point out
how many people has Hugh killed?
Enough. Rather, how many people has Bernard killed?
Well, we're talking in the book, but I mean, I love the concept that writers are the ones killing these characters. So writers have deaths on their hands, even though they're imaginary characters that they have created. To the people reading their stories, they're just as real as real people. We care about these characters so much because the writers do such a great job at creating them and then fucking killing them. And it's you damn murderer, you killed this character that I loved.
It's killer.
Yes, Bernard.
But it's so good. I wanted to point out that Jules lists all the ways that people can die in mechanical, and Jesus, yikes. She specifically points out one of the issues being a water pump could break and drown people. Which, number one, Jahns had that dream, but number two,
I thought about that too.
Yeah, it's interesting that that's the only way people could see that quantity of water, which is terrifying to them. Imagine them living in this and that being the only real exposure to that kind of water, that body of water. And then they see a lake or even a river or, God forbid, the ocean. The amount of water that would just be mind boggling.
Fear.
And speaking of pumps,
set in yeah. Speaking of pumps, I love the little tie-in at the end of the section, the part where the last thing she does before she's arrested to go clean is fixes a water pump.
Yes, exactly. So we get back to that. It's that maintenance, it's that care of the silo, the facility that she is obsessed with. And I love throughout this section, she also compares everything and everybody to the functioning of a machine. Every time something goes a little awry, there's a comment oh, this is like a gear having a tooth broken, or a pump having a seal busted, or pressure leaking. It's just there's always a comparison, and I love the way she approaches every problem. It's really neat.
Well, which is also a tie-in to what Jahns had told her about how the silo is basically a big machine.
Yeah, and what good are the machines without the people, and vice versa. And it's this balance, and it's the way she thinks. It's so cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jumping back in, which is, I think, where you where you had Remy underlined.
No, that was much further, I think.
Oh, was it? Okay, because now we find out that Bernard, my note here is, I hate being right. We find out that Bernard is now acting mayor, which I'd like that. That's so much worse than I expected. I expected Peter Billings to step into some position, leaving that open. Was he just going to step over sheriff and become mayor, which, would have been bad. But now we're cutting out the middleman, and it's not Peter Billings as mayor. It's freaking Bernard, which is despicable.
And he claims he has authority due to the pact.
Yeah. So Jules, of course, points out that this is, a little bit of a conflict of interest because he's the prime suspect of a case that she's going over, and he wants all the information. It's look, I know there's a good chance I'm wrong with Bernard. There's a possibility I'm wrong with Bernard and he's a red herring of some sort. But even if that were the case, which by the end of this, we kind of know it's not, but this is the note that I wrote.
we know Bernard is pretty vile, regardless of his reasonings.
And precisely where I was goals, going.
He is not a good person.
Oh, he's horrible. Just the worst. But my note was even if he is a red herring, fuck that guy. I hate him. He is just a piece of human garbage.
To be honest, I kept thinking about how much you hate Bernard as I was reading, and I was just getting so much delight every time he showed himself to be a terrible person, thinking about how much you're going to be latching onto that. Yeah. And I was so excited to hear you vent about
rage
how
on
terrible
him.
of a person Bernard is. Yeah.
And as a small side note, nothing to do with what we're talking about, I wanted to point out that in the same paragraph we have deep thought and stray mice being mentioned, which I thought was really funny considering who I'm reading this with. I just Hitchhikers was all over that paragraph.
I misheard you. I heard you say deep thought. But what was the other thing you said?
Stray mice, both in the same paragraph.
Stray mice. Yes. Yes. Deep thought and stray mice. Absolutely beautiful. I wonder if that was like a little like reference, like if that was intentional, because I didn't pick up on it despite being a huge fan of Hitchhikers.
Yeah.
But now that you pointed out, I'm like, oh, that's cute. I like
in the
that.
Same paragraph. It could be. I just love, I don't know. If it is, I love it. If not, then what a fun coincidence. And especially the fact that
what a great coincidence.
It being your favorite book, this is what we're reading. It's just funny to me.
Absolutely.
So I also, at the end of that page, she was talking about how much she hated Bernard, which, go Jules, I'm with you. But she also mentioned that her time as a shadow in the Down Deep had been surrounded by people like him, which is really disappointing to hear, honestly, because we've heard so much about Mechanical and it's all been genuinely positive, right? But
wait, where can you read the whole quote of what you're referencing?
Yeah, of course.
On what page?
I am on page 143. It's the same page of the deep thought and the stray mice thing. It wasn't the first time she'd encountered a dirty and outsized ego such as his. Her time as a shadow in the Down Deep had been spent surrounded by the type, but by them.
Oh, yeah, the dirty ego. Yeah. I don't think she's necessarily like saying that they're like Bernard so much, but I get what you're saying. Yeah, it does seem unfortunate because Mechanical, like we build them up to be such a family to her.
Right.
I think she's saying less like that they're evil bastards and just more that like they have like these pompous arrogance of them.
Yeah. And that makes sense.
They're talking about, and so like maybe more of like a misogynistic sort of feel to who she's referring to. We're like, oh, we're men, so we know what we're talking about. I don't know. He doesn't specify that, but that's kind of how I see it, more than like evil bastards like Bernard.
Yeah, but even if that were the case, even if there were a couple of really rotten apples in the bunch, of course, it's a lot more true to life. Like as Mechanical being this little family and everyone's positive, that would be a beautiful fantasy. But we all know even in the best societies, there are going to be those that stand out as not as good, right?
Yeah.
So
unfortunately, that's very true.
It's unfortunate, and I'm glad that she found her family is where it really kind of boils down to. Then on the next page, there's mention of the 3 triangles of the silo.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting.
It's like, is that a logo? What are we? Is it?
That's what I was picturing. I was
trying to figure it out.
Like you saying it now again, 3 triangles. I was kind of imagining a triangle and 3 points, but like, no, it's very obviously he's saying 3 triangles of the silo. I'm wondering if that's supposed to be like the up top, the mids, and the down deep as like the 3 groups that work together to keep the silo running or something like that.
It could be, or we are way overanalyzing this, and you put 3 triangles together and you can get yourself a star, right? Because she is talking about the star on her chest and the way it was written, just kind of like, is it a logo or is it just an abstract way of talking about the star on her chest?
Maybe. I'm not really sure.
Neither am I. It's kind of a strange, but if it is a logo, I'd like to see it. I wanted to ask you, because you've seen the show, and is there a logo that is associated with the silo? And if maybe that's the case,
I don't know. Okay. I don't remember.
So it's not very prevalent either way. Okay, just curious. It just stood out to me, and like, am I reading too much into this? Which I know a lot of this I really am, because
I mean, it's kind of the point of this is to read into it, right?
It is, exactly.
But I stopped to think about like what that was and what it represented, but I wasn't quite sure either. And even as somebody who's read the book and seen the show, I'm still not sure. So it's probably nothing.
Okay. Just curious.
Or maybe it's something that I just haven't picked up on, and it's going to be interesting once we figure it out.
Yeah, that's even more fascinating. But then we on the next page, we get the casting off, or the cast off rather, when she's talking about Holston, what he's thinking about while he's in the cell waiting to be cast off. So another reference to the title, and not one that I would have necessarily attributed to the words casting off.
Yeah, and that's the first reference to the title there, talking about being cast off from society, being sent out to die. Mm-hmm.
Right. And let's keep in mind the casting off, the title that we were talking about. It's also we're heavily leaning into the caste system here. And there are some serious things about that later as well, where Bernard living in the spot that he lives, which, jumping ahead a little bit, Jules does the math that I did earlier in an earlier episode, where this thing is split into thirds. And why is that on top? Why are the sheriff and everyone on top, whereas Bernard and IT sitting right smack dab in the middle of the top tier?
Right. She mentions how the deputy station up top is on the first floor.
How poor the
deputy station for the mids is in the middle of the section, and the deputy station of the down deep is in the middle of the section. So why is the deputy station at the top of the up top, and then IT is between those two deputy stations, like right in the middle? So it is the furthest point it can be from any deputy station, which is definitely fascinating and makes you think.
And that would be the prime spot for the deputy station to be, right smack dab in the middle, right?
Mm-hmm. I mean, kind of, right? If we were to move the up top deputy station to be in the middle of the up top, it would be, because it's 48 floors, so it'd be at 24.
Right.
So so it's not quite 34, but like a lot closer.
Yeah, 24 floors. You're 24 floors away from your closest responsibility, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That way you're no more than 24 floors, but this way it's definitely
right. If there's an issue on the 48th floor, it would be better for the middle to go to that point, or 47th, or even 40th floor. They're closer, being in the middle of the midsection. So it's strange that the sheriff's station wouldn't be smack dab in the middle, so that they are closer and able to respond to situations much more quickly. Yeah,
that's a good point. I hadn't thought about that. So the next 48, right? Middle of that's going to be 48 plus 24, whatever that math is. I'm great at math. Can't you tell? 40, 50, like 60, 72, right?
Yes.
So I should have been able to do that in my head. I know those numbers. Anyway, so yeah, it's at 72. So it's definitely 48, 58, 68. Yeah, 24 floors away from the lowest of the top. So it is. Yeah. Oh yeah, of course, because it's it doesn't make any sense.
None at all.
They should respond to anything up there, but no, somebody at floor one would. And that's so weird. So
yeah,
that's absurd. Obviously IT. The design of this is clearly designed to give IT as much independence as they possibly can.
Yeah, it's just crazy to me that there's so much to unpack here. There's so many questions. I love it.
Had to be designed intentionally that way.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, absolutely. It kills me because Bernard he's the puppet master, man. I'm telling you, of this silo, he is 100% the puppet master. I have no doubt in my mind at this point.
It very much seems he's the only one that can communicate outside the silo.
Yeah, that's that. And the fact that they're using a third of the power, was it, or a quarter of the power, a significant chunk of the amount of power that's output, they use the bulk of it. And even with all the servers and everything, which, you run servers like that depending on what they're doing, which we find out that it's rebuilding the information from the previous uprising. Yeah.
He said he was putting the information back in. I didn't understand that.
Neither did I.
We can probably talk about that when we get to that chapter more, but that threw me off.
Yeah. But going back to where we were, we're talking about Jules is talking about how watching the cleaning, or is it watching the cleaning? Oh yeah. Why people watched the clean, or why people actually did the cleaning, why they came back and did the cleaning, why there was so much speculation, and she's sitting there not caring at all. She's like, they saw God, they saw new colors, whatever the case may be. And it's funny because throughout this section, she absolutely comes to give a shit. Like that is her driving force by the end of this section as to why. Why did Holston? It's more why did they go out for the cleaning, not why did they actually do the cleaning? But that's a whole part of it because they didn't intend to actually clean.
Yeah, what you're referencing is the section where she's like, imagination, she figured, just wasn't up to the task of understanding unique and foreign sensations. It only knew how to dampen or augment that what it already knew. It would be like telling someone what sex felt like or an orgasm. Impossible. Once you felt it yourself, you could then imagine varying degrees of this new sensation. And as we know, she's talking about, what it must feel like when you're about to go clean.
Right. Yeah. There's no way to describe that feeling. And I thought the comparison to the colors was kind of neat because, if you've never seen the color blue before, how do you describe that? Like to a blind person, how do you describe that to anyone?
The thought of how you can't imagine what it's like to stand out there and know you're about to walk out to your death. Yeah.
Incredible. Just a really, really, as we just discovered for the patrons and public, sorry, you'd have to listen to the Patreon episode for the rabbit hole that we just dived down. But it's a fascinating topic. It's a strange thing to think about because you really cannot describe what you haven't experienced to the fullest degree. Mm-hmm. But then on the next page, that's where she references mechanical being an army for her, which my big bold letters, foreshadowing, guaranteed. I can't see that not being foreshadowing. Read too many books for that not to be the case. Or it's a big ass red herring and I'm falling for it.
I guess you'll have to find out.
Yeah, I certainly will, because there's no way I'm stopping this book. Even if this podcast crashes and burns, I'm finishing this book. So then I make a note that she's absolutely going to pick up where Allison left off. And with the first chapter, of course, I know a lot about what's happening. But while I was reading this, my note was, so with the first chapter being her going out to quote unquote clean, my comment in the first episode was that so had Allison continued down this path, she likely would have gone on that journey anyway, whether she wanted to or not. And it seems that, that's absolutely the case. But it seems that Allison was a lot smarter in a technical way versus Jules's mechanical brain. And so she was being a lot more careful about it as well. So maybe not, but it did occur to me that there's a little bit of truth there.
Yeah. Like Allison was really good at understanding how to look at the computer data, but not necessarily as good at dissecting what it meant.
Yeah, because later we find out, when we haven't even met Scotty yet, but he does kind of correct the misunderstanding that Allison had, because Allison, she didn't specify a size of screen. She was under the impression that the viewport up top was the issue, right? Yeah. At least that was her assumption. But Scotty actually notices the size of the pixels and the size of the screen it's meant for. So he actually identifies that it's for the helmet, which is really neat to find out. We already knew that, of course.
Kind of. We had assumed that based on, knowing that the viewport was an image that wasn't what we were actually seeing when Holston took his off and realized all that. We'd been thinking about that, but we don't really learn for sure until the very end when she looks in her helmet and she's like, oh, that she realized is 8x2. Which, of course, matches the numbers that Scotty gives us that we haven't gotten to yet. Yeah, of him saying that, I don't know, this is like something that's like 8 inches by 2 inches.
Yeah, and then Walker, which again we haven't met. We'll get to him eventually. He's like, well, why would you need this many pixels? Why would you need them that close together? It's wild to me that they don't even consider, because they've never known it. They don't consider you put the pixels that close together. It could make a picture. It could make it look like anything you want. But why would you want them that close together? So many colors. Like, that seems like a mess.
I love the way he said it. I think I highlighted
the tip of your nose.
Your eye couldn't make out one pixel from its neighbor if it were right at the end of your nose.
That's the point.
Foreshadow. Yeah, exactly. That is absolutely the point.
I love that. That was so much fun. But jumping into the next chapter 20. It's actually the first time that we hear mention of curfew, which it seems like it's for younger people, right? Because obviously Lukas doesn't have an issue, quote unquote, breaking curfew. So he's old enough not to be under the rule of curfew is kind of what we gather from that.
At 25, yep.
Yeah, but I love that she hollers out at these kids because it felt like the sheriff thing to do, and that just made me laugh. I love that little detail.
Yeah, like, have a good night, as if she's like, or be safe, or whatever she says to him. As if that's what she's supposed to do.
The 3 days on the job, and she's trying, man. It's so cute. Absolutely. And then we find out more about the love without sanction, which is just such a BS thing. So there's obviously setting something up, which we haven't met Lukas yet, and this is obviously a lot of setup for that, because she's already had a secret love, and I can only assume, well, with her walking at this point, I don't know what to assume. Secret love or not, she's not supposed to be in the silo anymore. So yeah, I don't know where this is going to lead. But it felt like this was a lot of foreshadow and setup for her and Lukas, which I think was kind of the point to throw you off the scent.
Oh, yeah. But so then we meet Lukas. He's looking at the view screen, staring at the stars.
Before we meet Lukas, I want to point out how psychotic of a person Jules is for eating fucking cold soup. That's disgusting. That is so gross.
That's what you hang on to here?
Yes. But then we meet Lukas. Carry on with what you're going to say.
I mean, no, come on. We have to talk about that. You have a problem. There's soup that is like intentionally cold. I eat cold soup.
What's a good soup that's cold? It all congeals.
Borscht? Isn't borscht supposed to be cold? I don't know. Probably
no. It's not only a cold soup. It's a cold stew. Cold stew that has chunks of meat.
Let's bring up the real argument here. The real argument here. The only cold soup we all know and love, cereal.
Is what? Oh, cereal. Oh, whoa. Wait. Oh shit. That's technically a soup, isn't it?
What's a soup?
Dude,
it's like a bunch of ingredients together in some sort of broth or liquid, and like, cereal Lucky Charms soup is marshmallows and whatever the corn things are called. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. That's the only acceptable cold soup.
I just know that like the argument of like, is cereal a soup or not is one of those arguments I love. Kind of like, is hot dog a sandwich? Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
Cereal's a soup and it's cold. There we go.
That's
cold
funny,
soup.
Dude. I have never thought of that. That's wild. You just blew my mind. Yeah. Cereal's a soup. I'm with you. 100%.
I'm so glad I can blow your mind about cold soup, cereal being a cold soup. Okay. So she's
then we meet
Lukas. She's crazy. We don't really eat cold soup that's meant to be warm. I get you. I don't know. I mean, I do actually eat a soup cold, but I don't like it that way. I make a version of broccoli cheddar soup, and it is obviously much better warm. But there are times I'm just going to grab that out of the fridge and eat it cold, because whatever, it's easy. I don't have to take the time.
No, you eat cold pizza, don't you?
I do. I do like cold pizza.
Monster.
I kind of like cold pizza. It's not just that I eat cold pizza because I'm lazy. I kind of like it.
I hate cold pizza.
It's been not cold, like been in the fridge cold, but like it's been sitting out on the counter all night. Had it the night before, wake up the next morning, have some cold pizza for breakfast.
Nope. Warming it up. Every single time. If I have to start a fire to warm it up,
reheated pizza isn't as good.
I disagree. I'd rather hot and squishy than hard and cardboard.
Sure. I kind of get it, but like I don't care as much. Anyway, so Lukas. Yeah, so then we meet Lukas. He's sitting in the cafeteria staring at the screens. Jules sees him. It's like almost complete darkness, and wondering like what the hell he's doing. She's like trying to get him to look at her, and he's not, which I think is really funny. She's like, I'm making noises, and he's just not turning around.
She's doing the best she can.
And finally he like and finally he like gets up and like tries to touch the screen. She thinks that like she alerted him to whatever, but no, he's just like seeing a star. The clouds parted and he found a star, and we find that he's like marking them on his paper and like trying to track them, and he notices, I got to read this. So he says, the problem is that they move, he told her. If I see, they move, referring to the stars. If I see that one here tonight, he tapped one of the dots with his finger. There was a smaller dot beside it. At the same exact time tomorrow, it'll be a little over here. Turning to Juliet, she saw that the man was young, probably in his late 20s. He smiled, was quite handsome, and he added, it took me a long time to figure that out. My note here is Silo's very own Copernicus.
Yeah, that's a good point. But although I love that his
Copernicus is more like the sun and center of the universe than the stars and rotation rotation of the Earth, but whatever. It was a good connection there.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And that was what I was going to say. I love that his statement is they move. We don't move. No, impossible. They move. I love that.
I didn't catch that. That's a good point. So he's not necessarily noticing that the Earth is rotating. Okay. So yeah, that's like the early stages of figuring that out, of understanding
exactly
that the Earth is rotating. He's like, these stars are moving. Why are they moving? Now he's going to start thinking about that and try to figure it out.
Yeah. So the next page, their conversation is really funny to me because she's talking about how nobody should get shits for staring up at the clouds, which I think is really funny because we do actually pay people for that in our world.
That's true. Yeah.
But that leads into the next little bit here where he says, well, hopefully I'll infect some shadow with my sickness and they'll pick up where I left off. And I thought that was an interesting statement because it implies that people can shadow on things that are non-paying. So hobbies can have shadows, right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if that's necessarily what they were saying. I kind of read it as he's just saying, like, you know, some like unofficial shadow, like he's going to like infect his curiosity with somebody who's going to want to continue to map the stars versus an actual shadow. But I think it's just like an interesting figure of speech within their universe.
That's an interesting way to look at it. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Because that would become a figure of speech, I suppose. If, you know, well, maybe somebody will take up my job. Yeah. Interesting. But then the next page, at the very last line of that chapter, they're talking and he smiled up at her and Juliet didn't understand a word of what she muttered in return. Oh, she is so smitten.
I love that.
She is so smitten.
So smitten. I put, Jules has a crush.
Right,
you know what that means, right, Hugh?
Yeah. And my note here was like, oh, she's so smitten, ... I am now concerned for Lukas. ...
Concern for Lukas. Love it. Poor Lucas. No idea if anything's going to happen to him. I mean, I do know, but I'm
of course you do.
Because I don't want to spoil anything. But like, man,
much appreciated.
Playing along with where I would be in this space. Like, poor Lukas. So worried for him. Damn you, Hugh.
Oh man. But so moving on to chapter 21, we meet Scotty, which I think is a really cute intro, the way that they introduce him as being Walker's shadow, or excuse me, as being Jules' shadow. And then wait, is it Jules' shadow or Walker's shadow?
I think he was Walker's shadow because later Walker talks about convincing him to take the job.
Yeah. Okay. So he started as Jules' shadow, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, because I didn't write this down, but if I remember correctly, he started as Jules' shadow because she had to lay into him about wasting zip ties or something to that effect, and then became Walker's shadow, maybe.
Ties,
yeah. So it doesn't, I don't know if it's super clear because I didn't note that down, but now that I'm thinking about it, I believe that was the case. But regardless, really cute intro to Scotty. And we find that Jules has an inside man in IT because he was recruited by IT, which is very interesting to me.
Because he was too smart for mechanical, as Knox had put it.
Yeah. So Bernard consolidates all the smart people, which obviously makes sense, but boy, what a way to keep control.
He gets rid of the curious ones or the ones that might make trouble, and he recruits everybody else.
Yep.
And then anybody else who has any sort of mechanical mind sends them down to mechanical.
Yep. Or kills them.
Or kills them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Just
because he's got a lot of options what to do with the smart people.
Yeah. So it feeds into the class system yet again that we're putting people in these boxes. This is certainly a much more forced way of doing it, sending people to specific locations and jobs and yada yada, et cetera, et cetera. It's just it's societally that is kind of how things are viewed as well. You know, you got a mechanical mind, you're a mechanic, you're a construction worker, you are considered a white collar, or excuse me, a blue collar worker that doesn't have the same gravitas and power in our society. So there's so many parallels. It's tragic, really. I hate it. I hate how many parallels there are and how easy it is to find them in this. But so she has an inside man. Unfortunately, we know not at this point, but we know, having read the whole section, that he will not last, sadly, which I was really excited that she had an inside man in IT for the coming fight.
For a few chapters.
Yeah.
Would have been nice, but Bernard got to him.
Yeah. Poor poor kid. So she gets the package from what is the person's name? Oh, it's the cookies. The package of cookies. Where is that? Mama Jean. Mama Jean's oatmeal and corn flour cookies. Doesn't sound super appetizing, if I'm honest.
I was thinking that too. I'm like, oatmeal and corn flour. Okay.
But not having, I would imagine not having the types of flavors that we're so accustomed to. These are probably pretty special.
Corn is very sweet. We get a lot of our sugar from corn. You know, we turn it into the stupid, you know, corn syrup that you see in most candy bars and shit. And that's probably where they get their sweetness from. I bet you there's no sugar cane down there. They probably have never tasted real sugar.
Right. All of it is fruit-based sugar. So interesting. Very interesting. But like I saw that, I'm like, that doesn't sound very good. But, you know, you put it in the frame of where they are, it's probably a pretty good treat. Yeah. But then at the bottom of that tin was a flash drive, which is where we really start to open up the doors to the mystery.
Funny enough, I was just looking at that paragraph, and, you know, seeing that flashlight really open the doors. It literally starts with, she opened the lid. Like, this flash dryer is opening the lid. It's opening Pandora's box here.
It's funny. I wrote down Pandora's box later as one of the things in the chapter later. Yeah. She is kicking open the door to what killed Holston and Allison ultimately. And you see that she's got all the information from Holston's two computers. We find that there's virtually nothing of use on his work computer, which is not surprising. You know, you're going to do research like that. You're going to do it in the comfort of your own home.
But also, I want to comment on how, like, the way she has all of this information is because they were quite literally keeping track of every keystroke. In fact, that's a couple of paragraphs later. You know, it appeared she had an operating history of Holston's two computers, every keystroke, every day, going back more than 5 years. That is, I mean, that has to be how IT knows everything. Like,
it has to be.
They're keeping track of keystrokes. That is some intense surveillance.
Yeah, it really is. And it's and that does lend a little bit of credence to the power consumption by IT. So there's that. But I still
processing all this information.
Yeah, I still feel like there's more to it. I still feel like there's some sort of some sort of tram or elevator or something to the surface. It feels like there's too much power being reserved or used by IT still, even with that information. Yeah. I wanted to point out Holston's decision to go cleaning could now fit in the palm of her hand. And that reminded me of Doc Ock, the power of the sun in the palm of my hand. Just, yeah. I mean, the amount of power that little flash drive has, if it were to get out and everyone were to figure out what's going on, which we don't know yet, but we're getting there. I really wanted to point out the caste system being hammered upon again, because she's talking about there being no third shift. There was barely a second shift. The trick was to pass out every so often from sheer exhaustion. So you think about the people that make the most money in this country, the people that make the least money in this country, and how hard each of those classes work.
The people that make the most money probably do the least amount of work.
They do shit. Yeah. The people that make the most money do the least amount of work, and it trickles down. And the people that make the least amount of money the least amount of money do the most amount of work. That is so true in our society. To be a laborer is hard work, long hours. It's not rewarded in the way it should be. It's expensive to be poor is never been a truer statement. God, I know that firsthand. Yeah, it really is. It is more expensive to be poor than it is to be rich. And it is dreadfully true and horrible. And it is so well reflected in that statement right there. Just the way everything functions there. There's a section in a Discworld book, and honestly, I haven't read this book. I've only read the quote of it when people are referencing it for other things, to talk about inequality in society and this exact sort of thing, that talks about how, when you're poor, you buy the cheap boots, which fall apart quickly, and then you have to buy more cheap boots. And in the lifetime, if you just spent the money on the expensive boots that would have lasted way longer, you would have spent way less money. But because you're poor, you have to get the cheap boots and keep buying them over and over again, which costs so much more money. That's exactly the point. Yeah, it's expensive to be poor, or you overdraft your account because you have to do that, and suddenly you've got an overdraft charge. It costs so much money to be poor. It's horrible how rigged the system is, and it's obviously here as well. That is simply the case, and that
really they really drive that home with like talking about the chits and how expensive it is to send a wire, which Jules gets into a little bit later in another chapter, and like just how they make it so hard for you to do that sort of thing. It's how expensive it is to send messages to people you care about.
Yeah, it's crazy. And a little side tangent here. The feeding into that a little bit. Have you ever seen the movie In Time?
Yes, where like time is imprinted on your arm, right?
Yes. So that's what this reminded me of, because she says the point is to pass out every so often, and she's out of her element, and it's obvious that she's in the wrong place. And in that movie, for the listeners that haven't seen it, the concept is that your remaining life is printed on your arm and it counts down every second. And instead of money, you get time added. Right. So the clock, your biological clock stops at 25, and you are that age until you die, until you spend that time. So, of course, the rich people have millennia of time. The poor people have to run everywhere. They have to work every shift, and they're literally gambling with their lives if they don't work an overtime, or if they don't catch the bus, or it amplifies the society that we have in such a degree that it reminded me right here of this section here, reminded me of that movie, because there's such an urgency of the lower class that has to be, things have to get done. Things have to be, if I don't work these 2 shifts, I'm not going to be able to make rent. I'm not going to be able to eat tomorrow. It's like, whereas the upper class can take their time with things, and they can explore hobbies, and they can do whatever they want because they don't have to worry about running out of time.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting observation, and I like that commentary on that.
Yeah, it's beautiful and tragic, and I love it and hate it at the same time. I wanted to point out there's a little part in the next paragraph that the ability to forego sleep gave her time in the morning and at night to herself to invest in frivolous pursuits. And might I just say, I wake up at 5 a.m. on weekdays, and I go to bed at like 2-3 a.m. on weekends, because those times of day, not a single person on this planet needs my attention for anything. And it is my absolute favorite time of day, because I can do whatever the fuck I want, and no one cares. Yeah. I feel that, Jules, so hard. And it's worth getting up early every morning to do what I want to do, and staying up to do exactly what I want to do without anyone. You play video games in the middle of the day, and there could be a layer of guilt associated with that if you're not doing a chore that should be done. But I can't do my chores in the middle of the night because it'll make too much noise. So I am free.
Yeah.
Without sacrificing your sleep, you don't have that ability to explore the things that you want to explore.
Exactly. So and then we get Marnes. Marnes is suspiciously late to work for the first time. She's only been up there for less than a week, but she's yet to see him late to anything ever. ... Yeah. Oh no, was my quote there.
Yeah, that was my thought too. It's like, oh no. My words were uh-oh.
Yeah.
But then she's flying down the stairs, and it made me think, like, okay, so we know there are 3 medical stations in the silo. Like, if someone gets hurt on level 1 or like midway between, how do they transport people? And my first thought was pulleys, but then I thought, why don't they have pulleys instead of runners and shit like that? That makes so much more sense.
Because IT probably made sure they didn't.
I was going to say, of course, we find out that IT is controlling communication to the point where they make sure you have to use runners instead of wires, which I hate them. So this is the page that I realized that casters and shadows were related. I thought that was absolutely brilliant. What a cool name, the casters. I know I already mentioned that, but I love that. That's like, you got your casters and your shadows, and I just thought that wordplay was absolutely beautiful. And then you find out, or you're talking about every mention of clothing. Does every single person wear overalls in the silo?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's just kind of the idea. Is you got your coveralls, and that is so like how you tell what you do. And it's just the type.
That's so interesting.
They've got. Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's that way in the show. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think they have some more clothing in the show, but in the book, variants. Definitely it seems to be like coveralls is just like, that's what you wear.
The uniform. Yeah. Interesting. Then it's talking about how Marnes had always been happy to play second fiddle. And I thought, oh God, even in love, he played second fiddle. It's like,
yeah.
And then she knocks and nobody answers. And then she goes in, it's unlocked, and she finds Marnes dead, hanging. Which, again, I said, little sus. But then again, he lost his two closest companions over the past week or two.
Right.
And like, I get it. Like it's not
I can
that
see
suspect.
It. I didn't just knowing Marnes up to this point, knowing his character and who he is, this doesn't feel like him. But they at least set up the argument that it could be, with all of the death and the depression that he's going through, like maybe and the note that we see a little bit later, it should have been me, definitely makes it feel like, oh, maybe this was intentional. And I, at this point in time, you believe it might have been. Yeah.
Hurts, kills. But this is also the page that we find out George's name, because it's the second dead body that she's held in her arms. The first being George, her lover. So, poor Jules. And now, so at this point, we have lost more than half of the main characters that we've been introduced to.
Pretty much, you get a main character, they die.
Yeah. Like, what the hell, dude? All right. So,
well, I don't know
how he is.
Not just more than half. Literally everybody but Jules that was a main character is now dead.
Yeah. Yeah. And Bernard. You have to include him in the main characters.
Sure.
Because he's
I guess
certainly one of
technically
them.
He's a main character, but he's the antagonist.
Yes.
So every protagonist we have met that is a main character is now dead with the exception of Jules.
Yep. And from what we're finding or assuming, it is all by Bernard's either direction or hand. The fact that he went to mechanical to kill what we assume is George, personally, is actually kind of wild to me. He seems more like a string puller, but
like he would have sent somebody.
Curious to know if he. Well, yeah, exactly. But I wonder if it was just him planting a faulty something or other that it ultimately killed him. It just. He doesn't seem like the type to get his hands dirty in that way, but him saying he went to mechanical to kill someone doesn't necessarily mean that he stabbed him through the heart. It simply means that he went there to do something that ultimately led to somebody's death.
Yeah, exactly.
So interesting. Just so much to pick apart and figure out, and just it's good. It's good. So then we roll into chapter 22. I just wanted to point out the small room, much too crowded with ghosts. I love the way he said that. She's talking about the office where Jahns and Holston and Marnes should be. And it's just, that place would feel morbid. I mean, she didn't even know these people very well. And everyone that she looked up to, and
we knew them just a little bit, but enough to care deeply about them.
Exactly. Yeah. She really made the connection with them. And then again, she has cold soup because she's a psychopath.
Just pretend it's cereal. You'll be fine.
Yeah. Okay. If they didn't actually this one is called soup. The last one was called stew, which makes it even worse.
Okay. Yeah. Because stew implies there's meat in there, which we know it was a rabbit stew.
Yeah, chunks of meat. Yep.
Which actually, when I saw the rabbit, we're going back to the beginning of the second chapter, chapter 18, I guess, or 19. They mentioned the rabbit stew, and I was thinking, what other meat animals do they raise other than rabbits? Because rabbits are not very fatty. In fact, I think the idea is that they have barely any fat. So if you were to eat nothing but rabbit, you'd be malnourished. Oh, they do have pigs.
Yeah, they mentioned pigs because that was when I was talking about where that was placed in the silo being too low and the air smelling really.
Oh yeah. And that would make sense for bacon and sausage and a lot of fatty meats there. So that's where they're gonna get that good breakfast meat from, or just everyday meat, ham for dinner. Love it. Anyway, okay, so that makes sense. I was curious about that because rabbit just seems like that wouldn't be enough, and cows would be too big.
That makes perfect sense to me. It makes mention on this page also with the cafeteria staff being some of the closest people to the deputy, which makes perfect sense. And that was something I didn't even think about. The people, what was her name? Pam? Yeah, Pam. Yeah, the Pam. Cafeteria lady being in tears. I didn't even think about the people that work on the same level.
Yeah, going to be around these people all the time, right?
It's like a small town.
Like down in Mechanical, like it's a family. These are the people you see all the time. And as we know, there's a very limited number of people in this world. It's a very static number of people, as is reinforced later when we're attending Marnes's burial and how she's talking about people getting excited about the lottery being so soon. Like, you know, like it's just one of those things, you know, it's part of that life cycle. Somebody dies, that means somebody can have a baby.
Yeah. And I get it, but it's also kind of disgusting.
It's morbid, yet also beautiful.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, there's a balance to it. It's like, give him time to get cold. Mm-hmm. It's just, that hurts. But I really like the way that Lukas pulls up the chair and doesn't say a word. I really, really am starting to like him, which makes me really nervous for him. Again. Yep. Yeah. So their little conversation, and I love that Marnes was laid next to Jahns. Mm-hmm. I think that was so precious.
Yeah.
And this is where they're talking about secret love.
In the next chapter, that's when that happens, isn't it? Yeah, it is. I jumped ahead because I started talking about him being buried, but we're just this chapter.
Oh, no. We're talking about the small room too crowded with ghosts. He didn't say anything. He just pulled up a chair, and then
we're
on the next
5,
page,
right? Or 22. 5, 22?
Yeah, page 20. Yeah, chapter 22.
23 is when he's actually buried. I just jumped ahead and looked. But anyway, it doesn't. Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay. but still, we're still talking about.
He's dead.
Lukas having pulled up a chair.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Sorry, I just jumped. Like we were talking about the burial, and we started getting into the like next to Marnes, and that wasn't actually happening yet. So I was just like bringing us back to the correct chapter, but whatever, it doesn't matter. Sorry.
Oh no. Keep going. The quote I was talking about, where it says that she had decided to lay him next to Jahns, is on that part. That's where they're talking.
Oh,
about,
is it? Okay. I thought that wasn't. Yeah. I didn't realize it was mentioned here.
No, totally fine. But that's where she mentions it because, and I thought that was really sweet because this is what brings up the conversation of the secret love between Lukas and Jules, where he is on the side of, well, why wouldn't you? Yeah. Just tell everybody you're in love because, you know, that's something to be celebrated. Whereas Jules is obviously in favor of keeping things under wraps and not letting everybody know her business. Which obviously I'm on the side of Jules. But I just wrote down, I can't imagine needing someone's permission to love and to live in a world where that kind of thing is tracked and it's weird. Like I know we have marriage licenses and things like that, but
yeah, it's different obviously, but you know, that's not too foreign to our world. Maybe not in our, you know, Western society, but like arranged marriages have been a thing throughout the centuries. And like that forced love or like the needing permission just to like ask somebody out on a date or, you know, obviously like the big one is like hand in marriage, which obviously you've already fallen in love at that point. But yeah, that's not an uncommon, that's not an unheard of concept in our world. And I think it's really fascinating that he brings it in to here again. Like we said earlier, I don't understand why though. I don't get it other than the control aspect.
Yeah, same. So this is where we find out that Jules is either 34 or 36, depending on your print.
Depending on your book. Oh my goodness.
But there's also a little line in there that makes me like Lukas a lot more. She says, 34, she said, and I'm told it's impolite to ask, but I've never been one for rules. I love his retort is, so says our sheriff.
Yeah, right.
Fantastic little character building. And speaking of character building, one thing that makes Jules really endearing is that in her free time, she would go into the mines and look for pretty rocks. Simple.
Right. I like that.
That is such a cute little thing, cute little character trait for someone so focused and driven and everything. It's like, in her spare time, she just chills and looks for pretty rocks. Something my wife would do. And I love that little detail. But then the computer. Oh, actually, before that, Lukas heavily insinuates that he came up there just to see Jules.
Oh,
which, love it. And my note on here is, ooh, someone's looking for a lottery entry.
I like it.
But then, and then the computer beeps and we move to the next chapter. The computer beeps having found results for Jules.
Mm-hmm. But then we don't get to see those results right away, right?
I know. No, we don't, because we move on to the next chapter. But, it's a nice little setup for moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
So in the next chapter, what are we talking about? We're talking about the funeral. Yeah.
In that first paragraph, I know it's not directly related to the funeral, but I really enjoyed the way the sheets of paper are described as recycled pulp paper. And it made me think like, okay, well, they don't have trees, so how are they making paper, right? Well, they're taking, I love the idea that they're taking pulp and turning it into paper. Like that can't be very high quality paper, but at the same time, that makes a lot of sense. Like, okay, I was wondering, like, was it hemp? Is it, what is it? It's the pulp. Probably from like just the plant matter in general, right? Like, the stems and whatever from like, tomato plants and stuff or whatever. Yeah, I think it's interesting.
Yeah, anyway. I actually downloaded. I actually underlined a bit of that as well, and I thought it was a really cool description. Bits of string and darts of random color woven beneath the black ink. I thought that was a really cool description. That is the note itself, but yeah. The pulp. Yeah,
it's cool visual. Really, the kind of I've seen paper like that where you see like the different colors in it of the things that it's made from. That I love it.
I love homemade paper. Really neat. We get further mentions of the priests draped in red fabric and chanting. So it doesn't really give us more of a religion, but it doesn't feel like. I guess it could be a religion we know currently. Just doesn't specify.
Well, we see a little bit later, they mentioned that the priests believe that the silo is it's always been here, created by God. And I'm like, oh, come on.
Isn't that ridiculous? I read that. I'm like, come the fuck on, guys.
Right. I'm an atheist.
But there would absolutely be people that believe that shit.
I guess, but like, I just don't see it. I was hoping we'd wait till we got to the section to talk about it, but I'm excited to talk about it now. So like, as an atheist, I see religion as come on, you believe that? You believe this man in the sky and all this mumbo jumbo, but like, at least if you really like kind of squint a little bit, I can see why people believe that, because it's this, I don't know, whatever, this unknown, intangible sort of thing. And I can kind of understand why they buy it. But like the silo, I feel like nobody would buy that. Even the people who currently believe in God wouldn't believe that God created this physical, like mechanical thing that, I don't know, it just feels so weird. It's clearly like a made thing, not like the earth and rocks and trees and stuff that I can see, nobody made those. They just grew. Well, rocks didn't grow, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're natural. So I can believe that a God created this natural thing, even though I personally don't believe that. I can understand that belief, but I can't understand the belief of God creating a built thing. Like, isn't it obvious there's rivets and screws and bolts and stuff holding it together? Somebody had to do that.
You would think, and I do agree with you that is an absurd thing to think, but you look at religion as a whole, and this is certainly an aside, but you look at religion as a whole, and the argument that the Christian faith typically puts forward is like, you believe that the Big Bang happened, and then, it's like a house exploding and building a fine dining room set is a discussion I've heard from Christian Catholic faith. And that's the mentality that you're dealing with here. You're dealing with a mentality of God can do anything and is completely infallible. And if the priests say that he built this silo, it's fact. They're willing to set aside reality as is in our current world. Like, I agree with you that there's certainly a way we can step out and say, well, that's absolutely absurd. But if that's all that anyone has ever known, anyone you've ever known in your life has this frame of reference. They don't know where the silo came from. They don't know how it works. Like, you think of the people in the mids, they don't know what happens down in mechanical. They don't know what happens up in the upper levels. It's a very simpleton frame of mind. Yeah. Yes.
I can see that.
But
I can see that.
It's also very wild to think of, because I completely agree with you. Obviously.
Yeah.
We don't know what exactly the education structure looks like inside the silo.
Yeah. Again, IT controlling everything. Like, who knows what they're teaching them and telling them is true that's not.
Exactly. So for people to believe in a God having built this place, which is just an obscene thing to think of from our perspective, but growing up saturated in the belief that this is the only thing that exists on this universe.
Yeah, that's true.
Planet.
Like they don't think there's anything else, right? Like as again, we're skipping ahead for that chapter, but they talk about how like they believe that the ruins of the buildings we see outside is just to be a God's reminder, not to, like Icarus, right? It's like, don't fly so high to the sun and burn yourself, or
so close to the sun. Yeah. Melts his wings.
Like that reminder of, don't exceed your place.
Yeah.
Don't try to
which is almost an exact quote from Bernard later, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. But so back to the chapter talking with the burial and like, and having the priests all decked in red. I thought that was really interesting as well. Like why red? It's fascinating that's kind of what they settled on. But
these are the young couples biting at the bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so fascinating. Like the idea that when somebody dies, you're oh my god, maybe it's our turn, because you get excited about that.
Yeah,
you like
I know
it's so
like,
morbid,
horrible, but
you
it's so
would get excited about it.
Of course.
Like, oh my god,
absolutely.
I can have a baby.
It's so human.
Mm-hmm. Think about how many babies they're going to be having now that Bernard has had his way with the world.
Yeah, we're looking at 4 lottery entries, and people must be buzzing.
Let's see. At this point, we've had Allison, we've had Holston, we've had Jahns, and now Marnes.
Yeah.
And then at this point, it's 4. But by the end of the section, it's Scotty as well.
Well, yeah.
Oh, and then technically Juliet would count whether or not she dies.
I was going to say, and technically Jules, but I guess we can't include Allison in this count because that was 3 years ago.
Oh, good point. Like that would have already that baby's already been born. Yep.
Yeah, that kid is probably around 2.5.
But in the quick succession, we've got Holston, Jahns, Marnes, and then
Scotty, and Scotty, and then Jules. So 5.
Holston, Jahns, Marnes, Scotty, and then Juliet. So up to 5. 5 babies are going to be born,
which is
crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, honestly, I get like if I were a young couple and we were wanting to have a baby and yada, yada, et cetera, I would get the buzz and the excitement. It's like, oh, maybe it'll be us. There are 5 chances here. But at the same time, it's like, God, that's morbid. It's like you literally just watch these people die, like literally. But maybe that's why no one watches too.
Maybe
going back to that conversation.
That way you can kind of keep yourself like guilt free when you get that excitement. Something you might just have to do to let yourself live, to let yourself keep going and not dwell on it, not dwell on what like your baby means. Like, your baby means somebody died.
Oh God, I didn't even think about that. That's, I mean, you say it like that. That'd be a hardest pill to swallow. Like putting yourself in the mentality of getting excited and understanding what it means is crazy. But if that's been the rotation of your entire life, then it's just
how standard. It is.
There's really no reason.
I mean, we don't have that exact turnover in our lives, so it's something we don't have to deal with. But it is kind of true with the cycle on an extended period. I mean, thankfully, our world, our babies tend to grow up old enough to meet their grandparents. Not always, obviously, but it is kind of this constant replacement. Like it's not always a 1-to-1 like it is in the silo, but essentially, like these grandparents who pass on usually before great grandchildren come around, like they are the ones on the way out, and then the children or the grandchildren are the ones on the way in, and it's kind of the same thing, just on a stretched scale. Yeah,
it's just you don't know who died to make your baby alive.
Exactly, you don't know who it was.
That's the difference.
You know exactly who it is,
and that would be the difference you'd really have to grapple with. Like, oh, this is because Holston died. Oh, I liked that guy.
Yeah, right.
Like that would be the big, like right now.
I wonder how many babies get named for the ones that died to give them that lottery.
Oh.
Like if people think about that, if that's something that like is a consideration, probably not, because like even if there's only 1,000 people on the silo, you likely didn't know the person that died personally. Something like
depends on where you are.
Depends on where you are, but also the big name deaths like the deputy, the sheriff, the mayor. These are going to be ones people know about, and I think that might be more likely. Like I could see. Yeah. Like if I
somebody
was
in the top third,
a baby and I really respected, right. If I lived up there and I was around Holston all the time, I might want to name my baby after him. I don't think Holston was his first name,
I think so.
But whatever, whatever that would be.
Oh, interesting. I didn't think of his last name being anything else.
Well, yeah, Allison, obviously her first name. Jahns, last name. Marnes, last name. I assume Holston is last name as well.
Jahns.
But Juliet first name. I don't know. We get these
so
names.
It's just a mixed bag. We don't know.
But who knows?
Just Holston. That didn't even occur to me that could be a last name.
Yeah.
Because we were introduced to Allison with absolutely no hesitation. What's her last name?
I did think about the last name thing when Juliet refers to herself as Sheriff Nichols when she is barging into IT.
Yeah.
I'm like, I forgot about that. Yep, that's your name.
Oh yeah, her and her brother Nichols.
Nichols. Yeah. Nichols.
Oh man, it's like Kris Kringle. Anyway, jumping back in. This is fast forwarding from the funeral because as sad as it is, there's not a whole lot of content that we haven't picked apart. But we get back to Jules' office, and this is where we officially meet Mr. Peter Billings, which I fucking knew it. I knew it. He knew he was going to be there at some point.
Yep. So what do you think of Billings so far? Like what's your take on him? Because you've now read this section, like how he responds. So
that's an interesting question. So I think he is a hell of a lot more innocent than Bernard is. Mm-hmm. Bernard has a lot of faith in him, and I don't see why exactly. Mm-hmm. You would assume that Bernard putting his faith in someone so heavily, and by the way, Jules does specifically call out he feels like more IT than clerical, which I think is an interesting thing for her to point out, which feeds into why Bernard likes him. But I don't see the actual reason for Bernard having so much faith, because if this dude hasn't figured out,
other than the fact that he comes from IT,
yeah, absolutely, because that is probably the only thing that I can really pin to him, because he doesn't seem dumb, but he doesn't seem that sharp. He is taking things at very, very, very face value with what is going on in this office. Why are people just dying? It's like, dude, your fucking boss is killing them. Like, wake up, bro. Like, right. So he seems naive is a great word for it. That is the word that I was looking for. Thank you. He feels very naive. So he feels like there's actually potentially a good person there. Mm-hmm. Whether or not he's going to wiggle out from Bernard's thumb, I don't know, because he also part of being naive is that he just kind of goes along with it. So if he does wake up to what's going on, there could be a possibility for an inside man.
True. It could be, though, why Bernard picked him, though, because he feels like he's manipulatable.
Yes, that's another part of it. You want a pawn that you can truly control. So if he is just kind of like, oh, okay, taking everything at face value and being led the entire time by Bernard's carrot or on the leash or wherever you want to say it, it does make sense as to why Bernard would choose someone from IT that has gone elsewhere and learned the laws and that. I mean, it makes sense in a lot of ways, but him being as naive, it also kind of seems like it's a good potential to backfire on Bernard, and it feels like Bernard would be smarter than that. So I don't know what I feel about Billings, but that's kind of
a little early to really like have a full opinion. But I really enjoyed hearing your thoughts so far. Honestly, that's kind of where I was feeling as well. I mean, I know, but like just trying to disconnect myself from what I know and just think about him based on this section. I was kind of in the same place. I was intentionally trying to do that while I was reading. Like when he introduces himself, he's like, "Peter Billings, ma'am," and he held out his hand, and then he pinched the corner of his star and held it away from his coveralls for her to see, like this little proud kid showing off his little deputy star. And he just felt innocent. He felt sweet. He felt like, he might really want to do the job to the best of his ability. Like he thinks that he's there because he's going to do a good job, not because Bernard is putting him there as his man on the inside for sheriff. And I think that like based on this, I can see a potential ally.
Yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic for him. I feel like he's not going to be the trouble that I thought he was, but there's still potential for him to grow into that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely.
So, so I don't hate him like I hated Bernard right out the gate, which I expected to, honestly. A number of times his name was dropped out of Bernard's mouth. I expected him to be a scummy little bastard like Bernard.
Absolutely.
But obviously that's not the case, which is wonderful to see. Speaking of Bernard, I just wanted to point out how scummy this little guy is. One of his first lines is, you report to me, right? Like, right. What a Just
so much
I
in
hate
this
him.
section of the things he says. He's just so such a rat.
It's such actually rat speaking shit. Of rats in the next page. I wanted to bring that up. Everyone keeps saying rat shit. I'm like, what a strange word. But then I thought like, they don't know what a bowl is.
Yeah. I was thining about that too.
Like,
how? What else would you say?
Like, I'll bet Hugh Howey wrote that down. He's like, bullshit. Like, wait a second.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't make any sense.
He probably had to stop himself and be like, we didn't put any cows in here. We got pigs. We got rats.
Speaking of rats, though, on Bernard's little forgiveness holiday, which again, the PC bullshit with the names, the power holiday, the forgiveness. I hate this man. But speaking of rats, one of the things that he wants to forgive is that a neighbor, there's a dude that ate his neighbor's rat.
And then Bernard's like, oh, isn't it illegal to have a rat? And he's like, oh, no.
Yeah.
This is the person who ate the rat. It's a countersuit to these other people who...
It's so funny to me. Like you're dealing with some heavy shit going on in this silo. Every time they mention a crime outside of the shit you're dealing with, it's kind of hilarious. Yeah. You're talking about the heist of the century with the rabbit. You're talking about the neighbor eating his neighbor's rat, or the dude eating his neighbor's rat. There was something else mentioned that we talked about. It's just like every time there's an outside crime mention, it's kind of funny. Like I really want to pay attention to those because they're killing me.
Yeah. It's like what this story would be like, or what the silo is like if we're not dealing with all of this, mystery. Like when you actually just kind of think about the centuries of living there,
the little bullshit of day to day
had to deal with. Yeah. Like what it would be like in a normal day.
I love it.
Day in the life.
Yeah. It's kind of fun and adorable and trivial.
But yeah, Bernard, that rat shit bastard.
So he wants to take every crime that's on the books right now and just say, all right, let's just have a clean slate, which is super convenient because one of those crimes happens to be he's
the prime suspect,
the murder of Jahns. Yeah, where he's the prime suspect. And he says, after much deliberation, I decided to much deliberation, my ass. Like, no, that was a part of your plan, dude. And I also wrote on here, let's consolidate all the power between IT and Mayor, because that never ends poorly. And that is obviously what you want. Ugh,
like we have different
scum.
We have like the different branches of the government for a reason.
Yep.
Not that our current government is really keeping those as separate as we'd like them to be, but that's exactly written long before any of this was happening. Exactly, like the foreshadowing, I guess, the insight that Hugh had,
real life foreshadowing, great.
Yeah, right. of like trying to be like, oh, I can do the mayor jobs and my IT responsibilities. It's like, dude, there's no conflict of interest. Those are separate. Yeah, right. There's a huge conflict of interest, obviously.
This man, he's a planner. And honestly, you told me that he was played by Tim Robbins. Yeah, I can't see anyone better for this. After reading this character, did you ever see the movie Antitrust with him?
I don't think I did. No.
Oh, dude. So he's basically playing this character.
Oh, great.
He's basically Bernard, which is, I think this is probably why he was cast as Bernard, because of this role. He is a tech mogul and willing to kill anyone that gets code ahead of him or gets the edge, and he steals it and he hires people. So he's fucking Bernard. Like, it's Ryan Felipe and Rachel Lee Cook.
I love that, like, it worked for you and that you're able to see him doing the role. But as somebody who has seen the show, the way he plays the character is very different than how I'm reading the character in the book. And I think that's interesting because I think both work really well. Like he's this like gross little man in the book, right? He's this like man with no tact or charm, yet Tim Robbins has charm coming out of his ass.
Yes.
And
I do like that guy.
As he plays the character as this like kind of soft spoken, like nervous, charming in a way guy in the show, and it works really well because it kind of like hides the grossness of who he is, Like we learn the same sort of things that we learn in the book and the show about him, and he is definitely disgusting, but he presents himself in a way that isn't as disgusting, and I like that for the show. But I actually was thinking about that while reading Bernard's dialogue in the book, and I'm like, I kind of go back and forth between reading it as Tim Robbins's voice, but then like a descriptor will come up, a descriptor will come up about how he says something, and like nasally or whatever it was, and then I switch back to how I probably imagined it before I had seen the show, which is like a weaselly sort of, I kind of picture when I'm reading it, Harry Potter's dad in the movies, but
dude.
Not quite as fast.
My brain just went there when you said Weasley.
Yeah.
I went first to Pettigrew and then to Dursley. That's hilarious that you went that direction.
Yeah. Yeah. So like that sort of like the little sort of voice is what I hear.
My department. Yeah.
Yeah. It's my department. What are you doing here? Sort of guy.
I hate him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can see how that would jump back and forth, because the Tim Robbins that I know, he is suave, but you're absolutely right. This guy is not.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or at least unassuming, I think is how I would pin him.
Which again, I think it's interesting that they cast Tim Robbins for that role. I mean, it gives the show this, instant, class appreciation. I'm not quite sure what word I'm looking for here, because like Tim Robbins is this like world-class actor. He's somebody who's in like one of the like a movie that is often considered the best movie of all time. And like,
it's one of my favorites.
It is amazing. And for anybody who doesn't pick up on what we're talking about, it's Shawshank Redemption. Like he's this great actor, so it gives the show some like credibility, like we've got this great actor in this role. There's other great actors in the show too. Like it's filled with like these actors that you might not know their names, but like their faces. That are really
Keith
good.
Davids of the world.
Yeah, right. Although I know Keith David way too well to think of him as that, but yeah, he's definitely that to most people.
But that's how he was for years. Everyone knew his face, and then he finally got to that point. Yeah, yeah.
I think with Keith David, it's more everybody knew his voice because he's got that like smooth voice. But anyway, unrelated to any of this, Tim Robbins being cast in the show gives it this like credibility of being a great actor. But I don't think he fits with what the way the character was written in the book. And I think it's really interesting that they switched that. Again, I think it works for the show.
Sure.
And maybe they kind of did it because they wanted to like hide how despicable Bernard was in the show until it was revealed. Whereas in the book, we just kind of know it right away.
Yeah, they definitely don't hide it in the book.
The book also like reveals right away that Holston's going to die from page 1 and that Juliet's going to go out to clean at the beginning of that section. So like the book is a little bit different in that structure, whereas the show is more linear and the book jumps around a lot more. So that could be why, but it's still a little bit of a disconnect in reading his dialogue and picturing who he is and knowing it's Tim Robbins.
Yeah, when we're done here, maybe we do a special Patreon episode where I watch the show.
Oh, that would be great.
That'd be a lot of fun to do. Yeah,
I mean, there's only 2 seasons out so far, and there's going to be 4 total. But
that's fine.
Also,
that's fine.
Oh, wait a minute! But they're doing the seasons kind of by book, but not really. Like season 2 goes into book 2 a lot.
Okay, so maybe I watched the first season.
Maybe we'll have to break it. I'll have to look into it and think about it.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll chat about this, but that's
a great idea. I love it.
That would be fun. So moving on. All right, we get to the part where she is digging in. She gets the coded text, which my notes here said, is this the program that Allison found? And turns out, yes, this is indeed the program that Allison found, because someone had been very careful to cover tracks. Then she sends it down to mechanic, which I thought was really risky. She is really not being careful.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. Like she knows that they can like see every keystroke based on seeing everything in this computer, yet she sends it over the wire. Like I didn't understand that.
And then she actually calls out that maybe she's being too reckless.
Oh,
so
she does
catch herself after the fact. Yeah. Not on this page, but a little bit later. Oh, maybe I'm being a little reckless about this. And that's I think that's shortly before Scotty dies. Like
I think that's foreshadowing for Scotty dying. Like she gets Scotty killed in more ways than one.
Absolutely.
Like 100%. Like she's absolutely responsible for that. Granted, I mean, like Bernard
is
likely physically does it or has one of his minions do it, and Bernard's really responsible because she shouldn't have gotten this guy killed, but like her actions absolutely led to his death. Both being
100%,
irresponsible,
100%.
Sending it over the wire and not sending like a porter with it where they can't track it, and also physically barging into IT, which we'll get to not too far from here.
No, not far at all. Actually, I did want to point out before we move on, we had talked about the cabin fever and people getting crazy and stuff and wanting to go outside, and that being one of the reasons people clean. Yes. So that is actually something that happens, which I thought was kind of cool. Not cool necessarily for the people that it happens to, but it's an interesting little tidbit about the world that I really appreciated the expansion upon.
Yeah,
even if it's just a single little word or a little drop.
I think I forgot to highlight it, but I did think about that when I read it. I thought that was like, oh yeah. That's that. Like, I need to go outside. This is too much. I need open space. I'm feeling claustrophobic, sort of thing. Humans
aren't made for it. We're not made to be locked away like that. And then there's the mention of the note, Marnes' note. It should have been me. I do wonder if that rings as his handwriting, or she just doesn't know it well enough yet.
I was wondering about that too. Like, I kind of expected her to comment on that, comment on like, is this his handwriting?
But I guess that would have been too much of a giveaway too soon.
Maybe, because she does comment on his handwriting earlier, or maybe later when she's going through stuff. Like, you're right. When he was angrily scribbling and it wasn't his normal handwriting. So like, she's seen it. She knows what it looks like. She
does know his handwriting.
Like, maybe he really wrote this, but it like...
Oh yeah, that's true.
Like, I don't know. I'm not sure. Like, I'm convinced he was murdered, that he didn't commit suicide. 100% based on the revelations later and her revelations. We kind of, as an audience, already kind of suspected and assumed, but
yeah, for sure.
Like, I'm pretty certain that he was murdered, but I'm not certain if he didn't write the note, or if he did write the note. He might have written it like as a thing to himself. Like, just because it's what he's feeling, just right? It out. Like, just like, yeah, exactly. Like, just as a, like when you write a letter to somebody you don't intend to send and then burn it just to
retype a text that you just delete.
Yeah.
We've all done it.
Version.
Of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Hey, sorry to interrupt myself. This is Editor Remy popping in to say that this conversation ran a bit long. So I'll be splitting it into 2 episodes for ease of listening. I sincerely hope that you'll be joining us in the second half. See you then. Thank you so much for spending your time with us between the covers of today's story. If you'd like to help keep Shelf Indulgence alive and growing, you'll find our Patreon link in the description. Your support helps write the next chapter. A rating or review wherever you listen also helps other readers discover us and means more to me than you know. Most of all, thank you so much for being a part of this journey. I truly hope you'll keep turning the pages with us. Book by book, story by story. We'll see you next time.